Grand Rising, everyone. This is Ron. It is Sunday, September 7th, a little after 11 a.m. And go ahead and get started. And we'll do as usual. We'll see if we have any questions. We are still pretty much talking about the Akashic records and what that means to us and uh, how we got here. So any questions on that or anything else, anything that grabs your attention?
This is Vermel. I have two questions,
Okay.
and I'm not sure how they tie in the Cossack record, but they came up yesterday when the teachers were talking. My first question is, how did the Neanderthal mindset come into being? And the reason I'm asking is because if we as Acabialans were here long before Neanderthals, did they come about because I
I
guess
think-
the way I want to put it is we did
Yeah,
nothing. We didn't, I don't know. I'm not quite sure how to phrase the latter part, but
that's
did
okay.
they come about a result of us not, of losing our awareness? That's my first question.
Okay, good question.
Am I,
Anyone?
oh, I'm
You,
sorry.
you
I'll wait on the second one.
okay. Are they related? You want to ask them both at the same time? Are they
They
related?
might be, I don't know. I need some clarity on, we were talking about the womb, yeah, yesterday, feminine energy, and the question came to mind, what is the womb spiritually opposed to the physical woman's womb? It dawned on me that when I think of a woman womb, I'm thinking a woman's body part, birthing process. But I know spiritually that's more than that. So is it the universe birthing our thoughts? I'm a little unclear on that area.
Okay.
And that's the last question for right now.
Thank you, Vermel.
Thank
Question?
you.
Anyone care to answer Vermel's questions?
I,
Pastor? Yes, sir.
um, the Neanderthal mindset
Mm-hmm.
is a genetic mutation, just like it's a genetic mutation for blonde hair and blue eyes. Um, Now, all of this, they became the dominant in that European people. However, um, when when we were created, we had free will.
Mm-hmm.
Our desires determine our fate. That's what free will is, which
Okay.
means that we also had um, the propensity to make a decision not to follow the ways of Elohim, not to follow spirituality. And that decision not to follow spirituality did not come into fruition with the children of Cabalon because it was overwhelmed by righteousness and by the Ma'at mindset because that was the dominant mindset in the society. However, when Europeans came into existence approximately 10,000 years ago, um, that um, the dominant gene was not Ma'at in terms of mindset. The dominant gene was one of chaos, one of ruthlessness, and that was done purposely by the Creator. That was allowed, rather, I should say, by the Creator. Why? Because in order for us to walk in the fullness of Elohim, we have to create in our image and likeness. We have to create a mindset as the dominant mindset that we had in the beginning. And in order for us to do that, there had to be something that was the totally opposite of righteousness. And that mindset that we talked about when we talked about the Neanderthal mindset is this dominant mindset in Europeans. They have some empathy, I mean sympathy, but very few have sympathy or empathy. I mean, empathy rather. Why do I say that? I'm saying that because the dominant European society, even though there are people in there who may not agree with it, but the dominant European society is one of chaos and brutality, thievery, murder, etc., rape, all that. That's the dominant mentality of the European or the Neanderthal mindset. Does that help you, Vermeil?
It does. It leads me to ask the question that refers to the scripture that talks about oh my gosh. So is I can't think of it right now.
What do you have any
It
words?
talks about your mindset. It says, so as a man thinketh,
Oh,
so
yes.
is
As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
yes.
That's speaking to the mindset. At the dominant mindset that's in you, your heart is the mindset that will be the prevailing mindset in your life. And that is the reason there are people who are children of a Caroline who think no differently than the Neanderthal or the European, think no differently than they do. And that is the trouble that men, especially of a Caroline, have a problem with speaking of the way and the purpose that females were created. They have a problem with that because the mindset of the Neanderthal says that whoever is stronger might makes right, that kind of thing. If you're strong enough to overcome a group of people, then you are the one who determine what's right and what's wrong. And that is our experience at the present time.
Got it. Okay. That helps. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And the second question.
The second question was
Whoa, let me hold it. Let me
I'm
see if
sorry.
anyone else had anything to add to that or a question about it. Okay, Vermeer.
Okay. The second question, what is the womb spiritually opposed to my mind thinking of the physical woman's womb? Is
Uh,
it the universe?
I remember the question now.
Okay.
Um, when it comes to the spiritual womb,
Mm-hmm.
we must never forget that femininity and masculinity and spirituality
Mm-hmm.
are inextricably bound together spiritually.
Okay.
And when it talks about them being created male and female, a large part of that is interjection by those who manipulate the scriptures. However, the physical manifestation of the spiritual reality, that masculinity and femininity are inextricably tied together. The manifestation of that is in physical form, the bodies that are different than each other, yet both has a femininity and masculinity in them, and the testosterone and the estrogen are physical manifestations of a spiritual truth that is femininity. So when we look at it through physical eyes, we see a separation. But when we look at it and understand it through a spiritual eye, there is no separation. I hope that helps.
So when we're speaking of femininity, in the Acacia record, is the womb that bursts in spirituality, the Acacia record, the remembrance of all that was and that all is current?
The reason that is feminine is because it's wisdom, and wisdom is feminine. I think Audrey mentioned it yesterday.
Yes.
Wisdom is feminine, and if it's feminine, that means that it birthed something. And what does it birth? It birthed the memory that we have in every cell of our body. And what happens is there has never been a time since the first person was born into this earth. There's never been a time when that Akashic tape recorder was not recording. That's the best way I can put it right now. So the Akashic memory is always present, and the things that we are talking about now that we have not really read. However, we are being shown these things through ancestors, through ancestral intelligence. Then that simply means that we are being made aware of who we are and what's already who we are, because we are indeed the Akashic record as well. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Questions or comments about that?
Grand Rising, may I add something to that,
Of course.
Pastor Ramel?
Yes.
Just the principle as above, so below. The physical is simply a mirror of the spiritual. Now, the spiritual is more real than the mirror. I mean, you can have mirrors that are cloudy, you can't really see an image or whatever, which is indicative of the baggage that we bring, that we allow into our lives based on the decisions we make. But the principle is the same. The spiritual womb nourishes, it protects, it provides what's needed when it's needed in order to birth that which that which the masculine energy has implanted in seed form. The difference is that in the spiritual, it's the Akashic records that are part of the nourishment. It's those records that are part of the protection. It's those records that feed our souls and give us what we need as spiritual beings to continue to exist the way that we were designed to exist, as opposed to the spiritual womb, which provides the nourishment, the proteins, the food, the energy for the fetus to grow. But I look at it in a sense that once that fetus is grown to quote unquote maturity, 9 months to 10 months, whatever that is, then we snip that umbilical cord, and snipping that umbilical cord is a indication, if you will, or representation of the separation of the break from the mother and the child. In the spiritual realm, that does not happen. We are continuously part of the womb of the universe, continuously. There is no snipping, there is no separation. The only separation is that which we give, which we determine that there is. But even in our ignorant determination that we are separated, the truth is we are not. And so we continuously have access to that nourishment from the Akashic records, from our ancestors. The universe provides for us in spite of us. And so it's like having the food there, but if we choose to spit it out, or choose not to accept it, or choose not to believe it, or choose not to receive it, that's on us. but it's always there for us. Thanks.
So we're choosing at any given moment. We're never separated, but in our physical bodies, we make the choice whether we want to be aware and accept our spirit, who we really are, or we want to live in illusion and chaos.
Yeah, and that's part of what Pastor's talking about in terms of the Neanderthal mind. That
Right.
that all of it is based on decisions that we make. We have that ability. We have the will to make those decisions, and we can listen to our souls tell us who we are at a very deep spiritual level, or we can choose not to. And everyone has an opportunity. Everyone has been faced with that spiritual mirror at some level of knowing that there's something else, there's something deeper. I am more than what I think I am. I'm more than what I believe I am. But many of us have chosen to just ignore that and say, that's just that mirror. It's just cloudy and I can't really see me. But if I go look in this other mirror in the physical, I can really see who I am, and I can see that I can buy into the illusion of who I am rather than listening to the depths of our soul, the truth of who we are. That's a decision we make.
Thank you.
I have to say, it doesn't change who we are. It doesn't change how we were created and what we were created to be. It may be several lifetimes before we get to the point where we understand and recognize that and acknowledge that. That's all I'm saying.
It's a journey. Okay. Thank you again.
Can I add something to that? Grand Rising, everybody. This is Audrey.
Grand Rising.
And I have a little bit different spin on it,
Okay.
but I think it's true in terms of the spiritual womb. I kind of see it as the subconscious, because when we say things resonate with us, even though we can't name it or absolutely grasp it, it does get into our subconscious. And then as we learn more, as we hear more about it, so that resonance becomes the seed in our subconscious. As we learn more about it, as we hear more about it, as we talk more about it, we're nurturing it, and it's starting to grow. And then until eventually it gives birth to something in us. We may have a new insight, we may have a new consciousness of exactly who we are, that sort of thing. But I think the subconscious also plays a role in terms of the spiritual womb. If you see what I'm saying.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was thinking of the first question. If you think about a lot of stuff that we've read, and you guys have done more reading than I have, I think, on a lot of books, because I get a lot of books from Pastor George or somebody, but a lot of stuff that we've read shows how the people of Kabbalah, or the people of North America before that was invaded, or the Europeans invaded it, how much they relied on femininity, and how much of the life's process that she was involved in, as far as decision making, as far as settling disputes, as far as counseling and those sort of things. So I think it's that has always been something that was seen as being necessary, and recognizing the value in it. And it wasn't like, this is something separate from me. It's like who do I count on the most, my right hand or my left hand? They both have value. And that's how it was seen. It kind of reminds me of uh, talking about the umbilical cord and the spirituality of it, when Isaac takes Rebekah to his mother's tent. That has a very strong spiritual message of the relationship that he had with his mother and the relationship he's having with Rebekah. So it speaks of spirituality. It's just not a coincidence that that is the place that he chooses to take her. So uh, I just think that just kind of ties it all together, that until there was a European invasion, that was something that was counted on. I mean, it was no question about it. The two, masculinity and femininity, were one. Thank you. I'm done.
Yeah, Grand Rising, everyone. This is GC. I also wanted to back off of what Barbara mentioned when she had mentioned as above, so below. And when I think about both questions that was raised, Bromel, I appreciate the question, is I look at it in terms of, when we say cosmic panspermia, you know what I mean? We talk about as above, so below. And then I look at, the human, aspect in terms of human panspermia, in terms of both uh, the physical and the spiritual, but it all has its balance when we talk about the womb seed. Pan means all. So when we talk about all life, you know what I mean, in terms of, again, creation, we can see the importance of how both relate. And so I just wanted to share that thought because again, I see it both from the human perspective, you know what I mean, when we talk about, the birth of a child, but then at the same time when we can see it from the spiritual realm in terms of all that existed. When we talk about the Akashic records, it just gives, I think, so much more substance when we can realize that, again, energy, as we talked about in the past, can never be destroyed, never created. But it's the same thing that when we look at it, even in the spiritual realm, that spirit can never be destroyed. You know what I mean? Or created in that way that we can appreciate this journey. So I just wanted to share those thoughts in terms of looking at it both from the human perspective and then looking at it from the cosmos perspective in terms of cosmic consciousness. I'm done. Hopefully that gives some insight. I'm
That
done.
does. That does. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions, comments? Okay. Um,
Ron,
yes, ma'am.
Grand Rising family, I was waiting to see if there were any more discussions on Vermel's questions, and I love the answers to those questions. Did I say this is Kathy? This is Kathy. As I'm listening, it's taking me right back to where I was on yesterday as I'm listening to the answers to her questions as we talked about femininity and the Akashic record, Akashic consciousness, and how it is birthed and what it is. And I listened to the conversation yesterday on AI and how even artificial intelligence has to tell us the truth. And as we were discussing these things on yesterday, I began to experience a hearing on the inside of me that we are living in a time now that has taken place and that is recorded in Scripture. And so what I was hearing was from Habakkuk, the second chapter, the second verse, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision, make it plain upon tablets that he may run that read it for the vision, and verse 3 as well. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. As I listened to that, it began to resonate deeply that through the Akashic consciousness that we keep speaking of, that is referencing that. And so then I went back to chapter 1 in Habakkuk, and he was just where we have been as people of spirituality and people who are believers and people of the way. He was right there saying, Lord, how long shall I cry out? And it appears that you're not hearing. I cry out about the balance that I'm seeing and all of the iniquities and the grievances and all of these horrific things that are taking place, and it seems to be no answer. And so what I just read in chapter 2 is the answer. And what it's showing me, and I want Pastor to open this up for me, if you will, because I know it's something there, because I feel like the answer that was given in those 2 verses is exactly what we're talking about right now. We are writing that vision. This eye is being opened, sight is being given. This what's the word? Revelation is coming forth from our eye, spiritual eye. And this has been the appointed time for such a time as this, for it to speak through what we are seeing. And so as we are writing this vision, we're making it plain so that whoever is seeing it, whoever is opening themselves up, can run with this, can walk in this thing and move forward in this with the surety of knowing that it's truth and that it cannot lie. And though it talks about, and Pastor, I really want you to tidy this up for me and tie it together, because what I'm seeing is that when it says it will speak and will not lie, that to me, when we were talking about AI yesterday, is speaking and can't lie. We are speaking as spiritual truth, and we can't lie based on what we're learning, what we're seeing. We're writing this vision, this revelation, this consciousness, because it's in us, and we're writing it in the macro so that all of humanity can see it, and it will not lie. And as a result of that, it says it won't tarry. It's been waiting. It's been lingering and waiting for us to step into our truth of who we are and for our eye to be open to that revelation. And as a result for that, it says it will tarry, which means it's going to wait and linger. It's waiting for me to see who I am. And it says to be of assurance that it will surely come, because it will not tarry. Now that we are seeing it, it's coming at the speed of light. We're getting so much that we are seeing now that we are like, oh my God, how come we never seen this before? Because it was not that time. And so I guess my question becomes, from what I'm seeing and what I've just said, Pastor, and the rest of the body, am I saying it the right way? Are we where I think we are? And is this script, are these scriptures not really 100% speaking to even Vermel's questions now, how things being birthed and what does that mean? And the mirror that Barbara was describing, we've been looking through a cloudy mirror while truth and consciousness was just waiting for our vision to clear, for the eye to open so we could see in that mirror who we are. So I feel like everything that we're saying is tied to these scriptures, and I would love for some input and for someone to continue to open it up further. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you opened it up quite well. I will look at the first chapter and remind us that there was a period in our lives where we were like, okay, God, how long we got to go through this? You know, we've been on this journey for quite some time, and we haven't seen any change yet. Those are definitely things that have gone through our mind or that we have said. However, when it comes to the vision itself, I think that you actually opened it up or explained it quite well. Of course, there may be some more in that particular scripture, those scriptures that I don't see, or that needs to be opened a bit more. And I'm asking if there is anyone who has any insight into that, more insight into that.
Yeah, good. Again, Grand Rising, everybody. Yeah, I had a chance to look at this scripture and before, and as it was brought up in terms of our session today, the last verse in Habakkuk where it speaks about, but oh God, in his holy temple, quiet everyone, a holy silence. And it says, listen. Now I'm reading from the Message Bible, which kind of just gave me a different perspective of my thought. But I know that, Pastor and the teachers and all of us, we've been talking about the importance of being still. And I want to tie this in because when the prophet Habakkuk talks about be silent, or when God says, be silent before me, let's stop thinking, let's stop, talking, let's stop those things that sometimes may distract us, but be silent before the Lord. And I think another way I've heard it in the past, as Nick has said, and Audrey, you have alluded on that too, when Nick says, meditate, meditate, meditate. But I think this particular verse helps me to be still and to be silent before the Lord, or to be silent in that way that now I can begin to hear from God, in that way that we can talk about right division. So I think going back to, again, meditate on this particular scripture reading, I think it's something as, Kathy, you had alluded, we have all, cried out, or we all have asked the question, why? Why is this happening to me? Why? And I believe that because of the vision that we have, because of our silence, we are now in a position to be able to see the manifestations again of our desires. So I just wanted to share those thoughts, and hopefully that may add some insight to Kathy, what you're saying, before Pastor gives us even more insight on it. But I know that it's something that I've been in prayer and meditation about. But at the same time, I'm seeing the manifestations of my desires because of the silence. So thank you for letting me share my thoughts. I'm done.
And thank you, George. I too had looked at that when you get to the end, after everything that's said there. I, like you, was saying, wow, it's saying be still. And what hit me, I appreciate what you said, and I see it wholeheartedly. But what also hit me too is in this day and time, I saw that it's no accident that the African is being still, and everything that's happening around us in this chaos. I saw that today is us still even being still, even those who may not even know who they are yet. But if it's something is drawing them, the energy of the macro and what we're putting out there is drawing them to still fall in line and to do the right thing in the sense and just be still, even though they may not fully understand what be still means. And that's in a physical sense. And what you just described, George, of course, was the spiritual being still, and it all ties together. And so I appreciate you adding that. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You don't really have to know who you are to benefit from those who are aware of who they are, because it rains on the righteous as well as the unrighteous. And the unrighteous gets wet from the rain just as the righteous does. So if we take that and look at it from what we are actually being shown, it says that those who are searching for who they are, to know who they are also benefiting those who don't know who they are. And that's the reason we're able to be still in the face of all these adversities. And one thing I want to point out also about the writings that are attributed to Habakkuk. The word Habakkuk means to embrace. So these are the writings that we are to embrace for such a time as this. Why do I say for such a time as this? There hasn't been a time where we were able to see these words in Habakkuk or anywhere in the Bible for that matter. There was a time when we were looking at them with our eyes and not our eye. We had a theological view of the scriptures, but we never had a spiritual view of the scriptures. And it is no coincidence that this was brought or introduced to Kathy by the ancestors because it does indeed coincide with what we have been talking about. And I think that this is a precursor to what we are about to experience, a precursor in that we are being told, be still. We are being told, yes, you have not seen what you want to see. Things have not changed the way you think they should. You're looking at them with your eyes. And then when the writing speaks to the vision, it's saying that the vision that you're being shown right now is true. And the change will come in the twinkling of an eye. However, we are in a space now where we need to be reminded. It's not for us to ask how long, because asking how long and making statements like, we've been on this journey for a long time, we haven't seen any change, things are getting worse. Well, what is actually happening at that point is that you are expressing a depth of doubt that you don't realize. And when you express that kind of doubt, you are hindering yourself from seeing it. And as far as the teachers are concerned, the facilitators are concerned, if this is your mantra, when, how long, tired of waiting, that kind of thing, then you won't see it, we won't see it actually, until we're on the same page. That's important that we are on the same page. We are not disciples in the sense that we were taught disciples were. We are teachers. A disciple is one who learned from an individual person. If we go through it, if we look at it through Christianity, however, discipleship with us is the way it should have been explained from the scriptures. Discipleship comes when the one who is learning began to take on the image of the one who is teaching, which means that if Audrey's teaching, if Kathy's teaching, Barbara's teaching, whomever is teaching, then they become the one who is teaching the disciples. And the disciples are receiving what is being said. And that happens also when Ronald James or Sheldon or whomever is doing the same thing. All of us become disciples, meaning that we take it on that image. Now, if we reject what's being said or being taught, if that is rejected by us, then that simply means that we are not a disciple. We are what, I don't know what to call it, but we're not a disciple, because when you hear the truth and you still refute it, that means that you have no intention of learning. And when it resonates with everyone except you, then that's just like the 5,000 soldiers marching. Only one of them is out of step, and his mama says all the rest of them are out of step. My son is the only one in step. I mean, that's the principle that's there when you don't accept what the truth really is, and maintain a mindset of the Neanderthal. And I'm going to say something I never said. I never saw it like this. But the Christian mind is the Neanderthal mindset. There's no way to avoid that. The mindset that we were taught about this religion gave us a Neanderthal mindset, because we believe that there will be wars and rumors of wars, but that was not talking about blowing someone up. That was talking about spiritual warfare. That's what it was speaking to. But right now, we look at what happened with the boat leaving Venezuela. What was the response to that? Instead of sending the Coast Guard to intercept the boat, they killed them. Why? Because that's the mindset of the Neanderthal. And we were taught that Israel was right and the Palestinians are battling against God's people. That's a Neanderthal mindset, but that's what we were taught. So Christianity is a Neanderthal mindset, and it is a mindset that's more addictive than cocaine, because it does not allow for any discussion about what it purports to believe. So it's a drug. It's indoctrination that makes you into a Manchurian candidate, which means that the moment someone says something contrary to what you believe, it's a trigger for you to jump into your Christian mode and hallelujah, bless the Lord. I'm highly favored, and I cannot hear what you're saying. I cast it down in the name of Jesus. That's the response to triggers. So right now, Habakkuk, we must embrace this, because if Habakkuk means to embrace, then it's saying this is what you ought to embrace. These are the words that you ought to embrace, but they're not the words that we ought to embrace based upon our Christian teachings, but embrace based upon our spiritual understanding. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Any
Yes.
Yes.
questions? Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay. When I said that you don't have to know who you are to benefit, that we see that every day. We didn't vote for Trump, but we are experiencing those who did. Those are the experiences that we are having. And we had nothing to do with putting that in office. Yet, the Creator made it happen because it created a more intensified desire in us to know who we are and to speed up our travels on this journey. It pushed us to speed our journey up because we see the dire need to intervene for humanity. We see how destructive this is and how suffering could intensify to a point where people begin to starve to death, even in this country. Now, think about it this way. Catherine said it's sped up. Others have said it's sped up. It feels like the adversities that we are facing now have been there for 5, 6 years. And this administration has only been there for 9 months. Right? So this is the month of birthing. And what is going to be birth is chaos. Why do I say chaos? The Creator is allowing this to happen. The farmers from Arkansas, in particular, are on the verge of losing everything they have. And 60% of them voted for Trump. Even though he did the same thing to them his first time in office, they still voted for him. The Creator is allowing this to happen because decisions always bring consequences. And the consequences of the actions of those African men who thought they'd go have more money because of Trump, the farmers who thought Trump would go do well. I use Trump's name, but I'm not talking about the man. I'm talking about the energy, okay? Who thought that the economy was going to be great for them without realizing the money that they received for COVID came from Biden. And to think about $1,000, $2,000 as being money that you got, that's in itself is a reprobate mind that thinks in that way. So all of these consequences that we are seeing is taking place because it is breaking the back of unrighteousness. And when the back of unrighteousness is being broken, those who are the leadership, the heads of this unrighteousness, are going to do everything they can to make sure that their plan goes into action without consequences. That is not what's happening this time. And the reason it is not happening is because we were shown almost immediately that the reason Kamala didn't win is because it had been the status quo would have been maintained. We see that. And the next 3 months, well, it's going to be quite difficult in the mindset of people who are looking at it, who have no hope, who have no thoughts of how we are going to get beyond this. That should not be prevalent with us at all. If you look at these things and you are shaken in fear, then, and you have been privy to everything we've been talking about, everything that we have been shown, everything that we have been explaining, all the experiences that we've had, you've been privy to all of this and you're still afraid. That's a problem. That's a serious problem. The question becomes, have you been embracing anything that's being said? If you have been here this long and you are still ambivalent about what is to come, we have no place, no time for that, because the battle is real. The spiritual warfare is real. And the truth is being written on the hearts of humanity every time we come together or every time we speak to each other during the course of a week or day or whatever is being written on the hearts of humanity. And that truth cannot be erased without regard to anyone who tries to do it. The AI thing is there because you cannot put everything in that machine or that computer, and it does not spit out the facts pertaining to a subject. To the extent that this kid used AI to figure out how to die by suicide. So we have repossessed the energy, and we are controlling AI, just like the energy that was used against us until we reappropriated it, until we repossessed it. And I say repossessed, not because we sold it, but because it was stolen. But anyway, I'm done. I don't want to be rambling, so I'm done. Questions, comments?
Pastor, this is Charles.
Yes, sir.
My question, what I seen when you was talking about Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, it took me back to Cain and Abel. And Abel was doing the right thing in the in there running for the presidency, and Cain didn't want to hear it, didn't want to do nothing the right way. He did everything his way, and the people were trying to let him know, if you do right, it will be right. But he didn't want to listen to that. And during the process of this, he had to kill the spirit of Kamala Harris to become president.
May I speak?
You understand?
May I speak to that now?
Okay.
I don't see him as killing the spirit of Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris would have covered up everything that Donald Trump is exposing. When I said that, she would have to maintain the status quo. Things would still be racist, attitudes would still be racist, people would still be manipulated behind the scenes, and none of that would be shown. Every single thing that Donald Trump is doing is in the mindset of the country. And Kamala Harris would not be able to stop any of it or change any of it. That was not going to happen. And that is the reason that this had to come to the surface. It's like Kamala Harris' presidency would have been an infection that you're not aware of below the surface. Trump's presidency lets us see the infection, all the boils that has been beneath the surface. Kamala Harris, as progressive as she spoke, was still governed from a Neanderthal mindset. Any questions about that? Think about it. This country, the Declaration of Independence says all men are created equal, and the men who signed that were men who owned slaves. So how could you really believe that unless you were saying all white men are created equally? And that is the foundation of what governance is in this country. And that is the reason that white men feel that they are invincible. White men are privileged, and they have convinced their slaves that they are privileged as well, and their slaves are the white female. Because whatever they tell them to do, that's what they're going to do. All that talk, all those meetings about Kamala Harris, and look what happened with the white female. So the white female is in a modern place where she has always been when they lived in caves. The one who was brutalized, raped, and dehumanized. They just do it in a different way now, but it is the same principle as it was when they were in Europe, not even knowing what proper sanitation is. No idea of what hygiene meant. They're in the same place. The only thing that has changed is the times, but the energy is the same. Does that make sense to any of you, Charles in particular?
Yeah, it makes sense now since you brought it up that way.
Thank you.
Makes sense.
Thank you. Any comments about this? Any questions about this? And I think it's important, very important, that we grasp this so we can understand that feminine energy of Kamala Harris was feminine energy that had a touch of nourishing, but overall, the pillars, the foundation of this country would not have changed without Trump being where he is. And right now, no one is really paying any attention to it. But the white male is cozying up to people of color. Putin is cozying up to China. And those people are coming together. Are they coming together for the good of humanity? No. But the point of the matter is that there is the grip that this country has had on the world is gone. This country does not have the respect that it once had. And the only reason that people they moderate the way that they speak of it or deal with it is because of the advanced weaponry that this country holds. And they know that the mindset of this administration has no problem killing anybody. The difference is it was kept quiet under other administrations. This one is open because we got to show how tough we are. Does that make sense? Ron, you muted.
No, I'm just asking, was it respect or fear?
Fear? Well, but I think it's part respect, Ron. You know why? Just thought about that.
Right.
Because white men respect power, whether it is because of weaponry or money. That's what they respect. They don't respect people. Does that make sense?
It does. My other question, and from a spiritual perspective, I almost see that Kamala was kind of ridiculed or embarrassed. Why did that have to happen? Why did it happen? It just
to show the total disregard that white men have for a woman, a black woman. Now, do I think Kamala, all the things I just said about the political structure, that she would not have been able to change? Do I think that that was her thought pattern? No. Her mindset was that she could change things through a government that don't allow anything to change.
Mhm.
why is it that it was a black woman instead of a black man?
Yeah.
The man has gone through that. And look at what happened. If the man had not gone through that, if the African male had not gone through that, there would not be a Tea Party, there would not be a Donald Trump.
Mm.
Because the African man went through that, then there was a Donald Trump. And then there was a Biden. And now we see a Trump. Again, the same energy, but on steroids this time. So what is the difference? The Creator has allowed these comparisons to take place for us to be able to see the difference. If we are able to read the signs of the times, then we are able to see the pattern that exists, a pattern of an African man having to acquiesce to everything that this country has always represented. Then you see the mindset of the enslaver. Then you see the mindset of the northern person who gets rich off of the cotton in the South and say that he's an abolitionist. Then you see the mindset of the enslaver on steroids. You see the Southern Confederacy on steroids. The difference between Biden and Trump, the energy difference is that they are exactly the same, but they approach it differently. One is approaching it surreptitiously, and the other one is approaching it publicly. Does that make sense? But they are approaching the same thing. There's no difference.
Mm.
Any question? If you're not seeing it, or if I'm off base with this, please tell me. Let me hear, let me experience what you see.
I see it, real, because when he was put in there, that's why we went more and more to the elders, so we could see in plain sight that the way he's doing and the way he's, he's bringing everything to the forefront. Just like he told him the first time that he's gonna be a dictator, then he came out and said he's not. But when he went in, he did exactly what he said he's gonna do. So,
And Charles, all of them are dictators. We have never chosen a president. We have chosen the lesser of the two evils who have been presented to us. That's the reality.
Yeah.
That's the reality. We have always chosen the lesser of the two evils. And guess what we always have said? We'd be okay. We've seen worse. So why is it that we always have to say that? We've seen worse. Because nothing was getting better.
Yeah.
I looked at, while Charles was talking, I looked at the next book, Zephaniah, and Zephaniah being the son of Cushite. That word, Zephaniah, means Jehovah has treasured, meaning that all it's saying is that the Cushites are treasured by Jehovah. So all of these things that we are being shown now are undergirding what we know about ourselves and preparing us for a segment of the spiritual warfare that we would not be prepared to encounter or endure if it were not for what we are being shown. If we were not embracing the ancestors, if we did not understand the Akashic consciousness, if we did not realize the power of femininity, we would not be prepared for the onslaught that is in our future, in our very near future. Questions or comments? So, in conclusion, for me anyway, we have not spoken last on about the Akashic consciousness. Neither have we finished our experiences in discussing and understanding femininity. We're not anywhere near past that. We are going to see the interaction between all of these pieces, all of the puzzle. We're going to see how they fit. And when I say going to see how they fit, they already fit. We just have to become aware of it. And the way we become aware of it is to desire it. And we will be shown how it all fits together. And then maybe we will have a glimpse of what is to come. I don't know what the Creator is going to allow us to see or how much, but I do know that we are where we are because the end that has taken place in the spiritual realm is about to be manifested in the earth. And the reason it's being manifested is because we desire it to be manifested. We are the tip of the spear. We in this country, because we in the belly of the fish. That's what we are. We understand this system more than anybody else in the world who looks like us. Nobody understands this country better than we do. Nobody has suffered at the hands of this country, in this country, more than we have. I'm not talking about the colonization of other countries. I'm talking about here in this country. No one has continuously suffered at the hands of this country more than we have internally. You could be the poorest white man or white woman on earth in this country, and you are convinced that you have more integrity and dignity than the most righteous person of African descent, especially the African woman. That's how this country has functioned. And now, this is what the country is going to be changed from into a righteous place. Ron?
Questions or comments, anybody? Okay, just a reminder to the teachers, pastor and the teachers, we are meeting with West Hope at 3. And for the rest of us, we will reconvene tomorrow at 6 p.m. Okay, have a great day.
Thank you, sir.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.